people do this. Hey curators, welcome back for the 24th installation of the Yarn Curator. This is my channel where I like to talk about knitting, spinning, and primarily the fiber arts. If you're a new viewer, welcome. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. I really appreciate you guys who come back week after week to listen and engage in conversations about the craft of knitting and fiber that we all love so much. If you would like to follow me on social media, I am the Yarn Curator on Instagram and House of Cardigans on Ravelry. And yeah, you guys can follow links down below to all of those sites if you would like to be friends on those platforms. I wasn't planning on filming originally this week. I had kind of planned to take this weekend off and try and knock out these 3 lingering projects that I have on my needles right now, as well as a sweater spin I have on the wheel. But I felt a little guilty, and that's not ultimately what won. I just decided to do it, even though I feel like it's kind of all the same stuff I've been showing you guys lately, but that's reality. I'm a fairly monogamous knitter. I try not to have too many whips or projects on the go at any given time, which I find gives me a diversity of projects to work on, having, maybe 5 max going at any time without feeling overwhelmed by the scope of my projects or just feeling like I'm never getting anything done. So better to present the realistic picture out there to you all than to wait another week and pretend like I can knit super fast or spin super fast or anything along those lines. So I think it goes without saying after that big long spiel that I have no finished objects this week. If any of you are like this, let me know down below, but I have a way of every week when I finish filming and thinking, when I come back in 2 weeks, I'm gonna finish 6 things and be able to show all these great things to you guys. It never happens. Even with work, I'm this way. I'm like, oh yeah, that thing, it's a week away from being done. In reality, it's 3 months away from being done, but I always have this overly optimistic timeline in my head. So if you're that way with your knitting and your projects, let me know down below if you always think things are not gonna take as long as they are. It reminds me of this exhibit that I did about, 2 years ago now, 2.5 years ago. And we were doing it with a local partner agency, and it was primarily just me, driving the exhibit. I was the team lead, and a lot of the stuff was being made in-house, and I was doing a lot of that. My one coworker was doing a lot of the graphic design, but a lot of the actual installation, the content development, all of that stuff fell on my shoulders. And I remember we were, I think 3 or 4 two days out from the opening, and my boss was asking me is everything good? You think it's going to be done? I'm like, yeah, we just have 3 or 4 more hours worth of work and everything will be done. And she looked at my coworker, our curator of education, and she was like, yeah. And my coworker was like, oh God, no, there's so much left to do. And it's little things. You don't, ooh, sorry, kicked my table. I have the camera on, so sorry if you went a little wobbly, but just little things. You don't think hanging 36 labels is going to take 2 hours, or things along those lines. So same with knitting. You don't think your sleeve, you're like, oh, I'll knock that out in a night. 4 nights later, you're still knitting the same sleeve. Totally realistic. Anyways, I digress. Now, without further ado, we will jump into works in progress. They are just going to be the order in which I pull them off of my stack I have sitting right in front of me. So first up is my Diaphanous Ragaln. This is a pattern by Jessie May Designs, and it is knit out of 1 strand of fingering weight yarn held with 1 strand of lace weight mohair. So the last time we talked, I had just joined the body. You knit since it's a V-neck, you knit 2 pieces flat and then join once you hit your sleeve divide. So here is what I have done so far. I am knitting this out of Stranded Dye Works in her Blue Rinse colorway for both strands. And I absolutely love this colorway on the mohair. It's so pretty. The silk and the mohair absolutely take the dye beautifully, and it just punches up the color from when it's in the skein. It actually looks a little more faded on the fingering weight base, and yeah, so I have finished the body. The last time we talked, we were here where my little Evil Eye stitch marker is. This was hand beaded by my sister Zoe, who has the Felicity Yarn Studio podcast, and I thought it color coordinated nicely with the jumper. So I chose to do, there's optional waist shaping, which you can see here. It creates that lovely shape along the body right here. So I worked that as the pattern calls for. And then once you finish the waist shaping in this pattern, she then instructs you to either begin the ribbing, or you can keep knitting straight if you don't want as cropped of a fit. Now, Jessie May does an excellent job of writing instructions on how you can tailor or customize your fit according to your body shape, and I think that's great. I have a little caveat, however, and it's not her. This is a general comment on cropped sweaters. I don't know if designers just don't take into account that when you have a fuller bust, you know, finishing that shaping like ends like right here on me, and ain't nobody want a boob sweater. So I just kept knitting. So yeah, that right where that ends is just at my underbust. While I was working on this, I was aiming to have the finished hemline hitting right at the top of my hips, kind of at the end of my waist. And so this is hitting right there at the top of that hip line, and I absolutely love it. I love the way it fits. It's such a flattering knit with the waist shaping, and I'm glad I made the size I made, which is the size large, because the way the pattern's written is I think she recommends about 4 inches of ease, and this has like no ease to it. So it should grow a little bit with blocking, but I actually kind of like the closer, more tight fit. It reminds me of more a kind of 50s vintage silhouettes, and I definitely like to play with kind of vintage elements in my wardrobe as it is. So yeah, I finished the body in just a couple days and then set it to the side and worked on some other projects. And then this weekend, I picked it back up and worked the hemline around the neck, which did wonders for tightening everything up. And yeah, I really like the shape of the V. As you can see here on me, it's not too plunging, which was one of the things I was actually a little bit hesitant with this pattern, because I do want to be able to wear this sweater to work, and so I didn't want anything too risque. So yeah, all I have left to do is the sleeves, and I am debating doing them 2 at a time, just so they will hopefully go a little faster, because it is mohair. But I don't know about doing 2 at a time out of just mohair yarn. That also seems a little sadistic. If anyone's done 2 at a time sleeves out of just a single strand of lace weight mohair, let me know down below. Am I a sadist? Am I just punishing myself? I don't know. The next project I have to show you guys is still on the needles. I was hoping it would be done before we talk to each other, but I bound off the body and almost have finished a sleeve on my Poet sweater. So this is a pattern by Sari Norland, and I am knitting this out of Busches in the Turquoise colorway, and I love it. Oh my God, you guys. Oh my God. I am so happy to be done with the body of this sweater. I think it's absolutely gorgeous, and I do not have words to adequately describe the feeling of accomplishment in completing something so intricate. So I've knit a fair number of garments now, and I've knit another all over lace cardigan. That was actually the first garment I made, but I've never made any lace that is this detailed and intricate throughout. I mean, that other pattern was a slightly complicated lace, but nothing like the beast that was this sweater. I am so tickled pink that I not only was able to do it, but that I stuck with it. I didn't give up. I didn't say, you know what, I'm just gonna walk away, because this was supposed to be, Zoe and I had kind of hinted at this. We were gonna be going to Rhinebeck this year, and this was supposed to be one of my Rhinebeck sweaters. And you know, I could have easily have said when they announced that they were canceling the in-person festival this year, I could have easily said, well, screw that, I'm gonna walk away. So working on this sweater has been really nice in a way, because with everything that's going on in the world, it's almost been a place where, because the pattern is so detailed and you really have to pay attention to what you're doing on every row, it's almost like when you get into a really good book and you just get lost, you tune out the world around you, you don't really hear anything anymore. That's what working on the body of this sweater was like for me. And so it's been a great place of escape, and I'm glad I stuck with it. I'm really glad I decided to keep going, and because I just absolutely love this. So as you can see, the whole front of the sweater is this undulating lace with seed stitch in between. I don't know how well that's going to come through. I can't wait to see the lace in this open up with blocking. And since this is a woolen spun yarn, it's going to bloom a little bit as well, because it does, I think it does still have some of the spinning oil in it, not nearly as much as Holst has. But I am so excited. I really thought I was going to be done with this before I sat down to film this episode, but whatever, you guys will get to see it. You'll definitely be seeing it soon in a finished object, you know, pattern review video. So I have started the second sleeve. I'm just working it the way the ribbing's hitting just you know, after my elbow crack. Is that what that's called? So it should be hitting just around, what's that, 3/4 length. The pattern has you knit 6 inches of ribbing, so you can fold it up. I don't want that. I have about 1.5 inches right now. I think I'm gonna do between 2 and 3 inches of ribbing on the cuff right there, and that'll be great for me. It's gonna hit right where I like most of my sweaters and cardigans to hit. I always push my sleeves up to there, so that is perfect. But I am so tickled pink to be done, and hopefully I'll be finishing this in the next couple of nights, and yeah, sitting down and recording a little finished object video. I'm really just chuffed, over the moon. I don't even know if this next whip is worth showing to you guys, because the amount of work I got done is kind of paltry and pathetic, but here we are. We're all about exposing realistic speeds of knitting. So this is my husband's cardigan. If you've been watching for a while, this is the Forest Park cardigan by Hopkins, and I am knitting this out of primarily John Arbon in his Viola DK base in the Nimbus Cloud colorway. So I had also planned on finishing this by the time I next talk to you guys. All that's left at this point, I don't know if you can spot what's been the one thing I finished. It now has pockets. So both pockets are finished and sewn down. That's all I got done. Yeah. So, hey, it's progress nonetheless. It'll be done soon. I do know what's stalling me on this. It's twofold. One is, for some reason with this pattern, she has you crochet a seam along the top neckband, which no big deal. I can probably do that with a YouTube video. I don't really know why, other than the only thing I think is it's going to add a little bit of structure. So that's step one. I haven't done it because I can't be bothered to think. I know I say that after I was like, oh, it's so nice to get lost in the complexity of poet. I can't be bothered to think with a crochet hook in my hand. That's dangerous. Yeah, I need to crochet the neckline, and then I just don't like picking up stitches. That's really what it boils down to. I hate picking up stitches. It's a primary reason why I knit a lot of sweaters seamlessly in the round. I can't stand it. Do you guys have knitting, like, little things that you can't stand doing, pet peeves that just absolutely stall out a project? For me, it's whenever I hit a point where I have to pick up stitches. It's probably why I haven't touched my penguano in like a year and a half. You pick up a lot of stitches on that one. So anyways, yeah, I just need to pick up the neckband, and then you pick up and work the button bands. So I am determined to finish this soon because I want to get back to selfish knitting, and he's already started asking for other things. He might have to wait a while. So yeah, that is my husband's sweater. It's in the works. It has pockets. It's so close to being over the finish line. I just got to get it there. And moving on into spinning. So I teased at this in my last formal sit down episode. I am currently, as my Tour de Fleece challenge to myself, trying to spin enough yarn for a 5-color colorwork jumper. It's the Jupiter Crop by Caitlin Hunter. And, you know, I said this before, I'll say it again. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I'm video logging the entire process, so I don't want things to be too redundant. I am spinning all of this out of John Arbon on his Yarnadelic base, which is 100% Corriedale. And have finished, relatively speaking. I have spun 1.5 more colors. So this gorgeous purple is the colorway Waltz. And this is actually, I didn't realize this. I had bought 200 grams of this fiber, so I actually spun, this bobbin is 100 grams, and I was kind of over it by the time I finished spinning this bobbin. So I think what I'm going to do for this one is wind off 2 center pool balls and just ply the 100 grams together. I have 100 more grams that is pre-drafted, and surprise, Zoe, you're getting a package in the mail, because I can't be bothered. It's really what it boils down to. The next color that I've been spinning is this, I believe this is the Hey Moon colorway, and it's this really pretty top that is like a white cream colored base with splashes of yellow, pink, blue. I think there's a little bit of green in there. And it drafts into this really pretty, almost like opal gemstone that catches all the pretty rainbow colors in the light. I didn't do the best job of spinning a consistent single on this one. I think this particular top is just a little bit felted and compacted. Maybe it didn't get milled quite as finely as the other fibers because they've all kind of drafted like butter, as most of his fiber does. So it's not the prettiest, but I'm thinking this color in my head has always been along the yoke line. There's just a little bit of color work here and then another little stripe. So This color will be used the least in the pattern, so I'm not too stressed out about it. I'm just gonna go with it. The gauge is gonna be a little wonky and funny anyways because I'm using Handspun. I'm 99% sure the main color that I spun is closer to like a DK worsted versus what I was aiming for was more on the sport DK side. Swatching is gonna be my friend. That's all I can say. So yeah, these two are done. I just have one color left to spin, and this is called the Lady in Blue, and it's this icy blue with black and white silver running throughout it. So absolutely beautiful. I plan on pre-drafting it down and really just blending those colors well. People do this. So yeah, I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see all of this, but this is the rough color palette for the jumper. I don't know. Does that even make sense? I don't know. I have it all written down. You're just gonna have to wait for the video series in which I can describe all the neurotic thoughts I've had about this sweater spin and second guessing myself and wondering if it's gonna work and all those beautiful things that we do as makers, because you can't just make it. You have to overthink it and analyze it and make sure it's absolutely perfect. Or maybe that's me. So that does it for the what I've been making portion of things. As for life, it's been an interesting week or two. One of my coworkers left sick this past Wednesday, and she has been out. She did get a negative test result, so yay, that's happy news and alleviates some of our other fears that we've had in the office. Things just keep seemingly plugging ahead and yet staying stuck firmly in place. Yeah, so I know there's been some discussion going around lately about like yarn affordability and how much designers should be expected to, how much information designers should be expected to provide with their patterns about relevant substitute yarns that are either more affordable. And I've been thinking a lot about that lately. I'm not going to weigh too heavily into that discussion today. Rather, I would like to know if you guys would be interested in, I've had an idea in my head of doing either a 2 or a 3-part series on kind of garment knitting in general. So different types of garment constructions, showing examples of those different constructions that I've made, as well as things to look for when selecting yarns for projects, techniques that are commonly used, things along those lines. So if you're interested in something like that, let me know down below. I am going to be having some time off here and really want to take advantage of it as an opportunity to create some different videos. I love this format, but I have a ton of ideas for this channel, and finding the time to implement those ideas is often why I don't do them. So I really want to be able to put some new creative videos out there, explore some different sides of creativity. And so yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. So if you'd be interested in that kind of series, as well as another idea I have is doing a tour of our guest room / craft room, so you can see more than this view behind me, although this is probably the most interesting view, but I'm in the process of kind of putting the final touches on this room. So if you'd like to see kind of a tour before and after, because I plan on buying some like hanging shelves for the wall, that sort of thing, happy to take you guys inside this space. And yeah, let me know if you're interested down below, and I will be happy to put those together for you. So think that's about it for news and all of that good stuff. I apologize, Mr. Yarn Curator isn't here to rib me the entire time, but he's at work, so tough to be him. So that's it, you guys. Until next time, I hope you enjoy your making, your crafting, or whatever brings you joy. I will talk to you later. Bye. And I apologize. I feel like the sun just went behind a cloud. No big deal. It's coming back out. Bring it back, Naomi. Probably 80% there. 75? We'll say 75%. Let's bring it back into realism. Got fiber in my mouth. Disaster. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I do have 5 colors.